Okay, it's a little weird for me because I'm reviewing this movie right after seeing it. When normally I see the movie the night before, and then I review it the following morning. But I'm reviewing this right after seeing it because I didn't want to pay full price for this movie, so I went to a morning matinee and only paid $4. Whoa, I overpaid for this. Terminator Genisys is the latest attempt at making a Terminator movie, and like the last two entries in the series, it's not very good at all. But I didn't hate it, which actually is a positive, because I was going into this movie expecting to hate everything about it, and I didn't. That being said, I still didn't really like it. It's a mess of a movie that is barely entertaining as a summer popcorn movie, just barely. So, a brief gist of the plot. Essentially, it starts out like the first Terminator movie, where Kyle Reese has to get sent back in time to protect Sarah Connor from a Terminator. The only difference is when he gets sent back in time, it's an alternate 1984, where Sarah Connor already had a Terminator try to kill her in the 70s. And now she has a Guardian Terminator with her. And now the Guardian Terminator, Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor, have to work together to stop Judgment Day. Now, trust me, that's a basic gist of the plot. This movie gets so complicated and convoluted, though not as much as I thought it was gonna, but still the plot is all over the place in this movie. So before I get to my issues with this movie, and trust me, there are many, what I liked about the film, the opening scene is awesome. It's simply awesome. It's the best part of the entire movie. It's the only part of the movie that feels like Terminator. It feels right out of the first two films. The opening scene is basically the future wars, the last assault on Skynet, where they destroy Skynet and then send Kyle Reese back in time. Now, I mentioned this in my trailer review. That's something I've always wanted to see in a Terminator movie. So I was happy to finally get that, and they pulled it off. That scene was really good. The future war is right out of the classic Cameron films, and it was just an entertaining introduction to the film, and I really like that. It almost works as its own like prequel to the original movie, which I really like. The other main positive is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, I did not want to see Arnold playing an old man Terminator, but he was still great, and he was just fun to watch every time he was on screen. The rest of the acting in the movie is good. Emilia Clarke as Sarah Connor, it's good. It didn't feel like Sarah Connor. Granted, this is a different Sarah Connor than the Hamilton one, so it makes sense. But her performance was serviceable. She wasn't great or anything, but she was good enough. But she is Oscar gold compared to Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese. God, honestly, I don't hate him as an actor. I've said this before. Even when talking about Die Hard 5, he's not the worst part about that movie. And I still say if the script was better, he actually would have been decent in that film. But he is not Kyle Reese. He doesn't feel like Kyle Reese at all. And at no point did I feel like I was watching the character of Kyle Reese. And even then, he has no charisma, and every joke his character has falls flat. And the movie is basically told through his eyes. He even narrates the opening of the movie. So it really feels like he is the main character of this movie. And it's like, he was like, why did they cast him? Again, I don't hate the guy, but he was so wrong for this part. And that was so distracting. That's my one problem with the opening scene that I loved, was just, you had to put up with Jai Courtney as Kyle Reese. But the rest of the cast does fine. Although J.K. Simmons is in the movie, and he's completely wasted. His character is really small. He doesn't do a whole lot. He's just there, and he's not as awesome as J.K. Simmons has been in the past. So that was disappointing. I was waiting for him. When he came on screen, I was like, alright, here we go. The movie's going to pick up now. And it didn't. It just, The problem with the movie is that the timeline gets so convoluted and messed up, and there's a lot of issues with it that don't make sense. You have the whole incident where a Terminator was sent back in time to kill Sarah Connor as a kid. And who sent those Terminators back in time? They don't tell you. They don't explain it. I'm assuming they're leaving it open for a sequel, but it's stupid and it makes this movie feel incomplete because that's an important plot point to the film. It's not like where they just mention Star-Lord's dad in Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's a cool hint at a sequel, but that has nothing to do with the plot of the film, so it's okay. This is important to the plot. This is why the entire timeline is messed up, because of this incident in the 70s. But why did the Terminator get sent back? They don't say it. When they ask Arnold about it, he just says, all my files were deleted about that time. It's like it's like they didn't know what to do, and they need an excuse to have an old Arnold in the movie. They're like, Terminator gets back sent to the 70s, whatever, and that just didn't work. The trailers do give away a major plot twist in the film, and I'm not going to reveal it here, just in case you haven't seen the trailers, because when I saw it in the trailer, I'm like, oh, maybe they revealed it because there's much bigger stuff to reveal in this movie. Like, there's more twists than just that. No, that's the main twist of the movie. And I honestly would have been surprised if I hadn't seen the trailer and I saw that twist. So if you don't know what it is and you're planning to see this movie, don't watch the trailer. Just watch that first trailer that came out in like November. Don't watch any of the later stuff because it's an interesting reveal. Though it leaves me some problems with that character that I can't delve into right now due to spoilers. But I didn't like the last half of the film where there's time travel involved, where they go into the future to 2017 to do stuff, and it just turns into a rehash of Terminator 2, where you have our main heroes and a hero Terminator going to destroy Skynet while a bad Terminator is chasing after them. That's the last half of this movie. I mean, we saw that in Terminator 2 and Terminator 3. That was our main problem with Terminator 3, that it was a rehash of Terminator 2. And that's what they just rehash it for the last half of this movie. And it's like, I'm so uninterested. The action scenes in this movie are well done, but they're so dull and forgettable. The only one that's kind of memorable is the scene on the bridge where the bus flips over. But aside from that, I can't really recall any memorable action scenes I'm going to be talking about in days to come. This movie is it's a jumbled mess. And when it's not hitting you over the head with exposition about changing the timeline, doing this and alternate memories from an alternate timeline because you're in this loop and it's getting all messed up. When it's not doing that, it's just giving you generic popcorn action. And it's not very entertaining. Nothing's original in this movie. The whole first half of this movie is like filled with just callbacks to the first two films. Oh, it's a T-1000. Only because, remember the T-1000 from T2? I feel like the first half of this movie, when they were in 1984, every scene was just referencing the first two movies. Like, they were talking about the Guardian Terminator, and Sarah just goes, oh, he doesn't kill people, but he's messed up a lot of knees. Get it? Because in Terminator 2, he shot the guy's knees instead of killing them. It's like, it just wasn't entertaining. It just felt a bunch of stuff we've seen before. It was so pointless. This movie doesn't offer anything new, aside from the Terminator that's kind of it's a character who gets turned into a Terminator. And aside from that, where he's like half Terminator, kind of human-ish, that's the only real new element to it. It's when it got to the point where we have to stop Skynet to prevent Judgment Day, it's like, I've seen this before and done better. Also, to Doctor Who fans, Matt Smith is in the movie. The reason why they don't show any of his character in the trailers and stuff, yeah, he's kind of important, but mostly because he's in the movie for like 6 minutes. He is completely wasted. He's barely in the movie. Disappointing and a waste. Well, just a lot of wastes of good actors in this movie, I guess, with him and J.K. Simmons just being thrown in these parts. Well, one positive note, because of this scene in the trailer...
It is nice to meet you.
I've been trying to teach him to blend in. I know it needs work.
I was worried we're going to have a lot of Terminator 3 style humor, and we don't. That humor doesn't get as bad and over the top as Terminator 3. As much as that scene seems like it would, it actually doesn't, so I like that. I was like, that's good. But overall, I can't really recommend this movie. I don't know if it's the worst Terminator movie. I think Terminator 3, to me, is still technically the worst. I don't know. Terminator 3 is just a bland rehash of Terminator 2, and that's what really sucks about it. This one is just a mess of a movie. They're both really bad for different reasons. I'd probably put them like equal on levels of bad, because I don't think they're really good at all, and don't add anything new. Aside from that opening scene, which was awesome, this just doesn't add anything to Terminator, and a lot of people are saying this movie like felt like the first two films. Or at least felt closer to the first two films. And yeah, it feels a bit closer than 3 and 4. But yeah, I didn't get a Terminator vibe at all during this movie, except for the opening. So, out of 10, I don't know, maybe like 4.5 out of 10. But I'll bring it up to a 5 just for that opening scene, which was awesome. So, 5 out of 10. So that's Terminator Genisys. Pretty much what we expected from the trailers. Except not as god-awful, just overall just a messy movie that is the start of a new trilogy that I don't want. So I did see this by myself, so I won't be doing a spoiler video with Sam, but I think I'm going to do a spoiler video anyway, just because there's so much stuff to talk about in this movie that I want to delve into, so I'm going to be doing that next. And until then, I'll talk to you guys later.